Hello everyone, my name is Guilherme and welcome to another cave video. And in the last video we learned how to create more realistic assets. So I'm here with the scene that I can press F5 to play. And it's pretty good, it looks very good actually. And now what we miss here is of course decent terrain. So this is exactly the subject of this video. Terrain is a new feature that Cave 1.2 showcases, so it will be very good to explore the terrain a little bit. I will split this video into two parts because I want to show you how to create custom materials for your terrain, but this is another subject. In this video, we will understand how to create the terrain, how to manipulate them, and do something cool, hopefully. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start creating this terrain. The very first thing that you need, actually, is an empty to create the terrain component. So I'll right click, I'll shift A, sorry, here and create a new empty. And I'll go ahead and call this empty terrain. Good. If I want, I can reset the position with Alt W, but it's optional. It will work with any position you want. And then here in the properties tab, I'll go ahead and I'll create a new component and the type will be terrain. Good, we are almost done, believe it or not. The only thing left here to do is to have to create a new height map and a new material. But first, let's go ahead and adjust the settings a little bit. You can see the terrain resolution, it's 512 by 512. And if the transform of the terrain you have is a default transform, in other words, if the scale is 1, this means that this resolution is 500 meters per 500 meters is like 512 meters, of course, which is half a kilometer. We can change this. For example, if this number of components here, if I put in something like 20, you can see it's 1.2 kilometers times 1.2 kilometers. And I'll also increase here the grid size a little bit. I'll hold Control and type 80. So we can have, let's actually increase this a little bit. Let's put 2 kilometers long. I like the idea of having 2 kilometers terrain. I'm just making the numbers round because I'm weird and I like round numbers. Anyways, a bit more round. Here we go. So let's go with these settings. And you may ask, what is the grid size and what is the number of components? I'm not going to be explaining this in detail in this video because I do explain everything in the Cave Engine Bible, so you can download the Bible if you have access to the engine. You of course have access to the Bible. Download it and find the section where we talk about the terrain component, and I'll be explaining with a lot of details the grid size, the number of components, and all those other informations here, so you'll be able to understand this very well. Okay, so in the material, let's go ahead and select our material. I'll actually select the dirt 2 here, which is the material that we are using here in this this ground that we created in the last video. Good. And last but not least, everything that I need to do is to create a new height map. And in Cave, you can do this in two ways. You can either select an existing height map, which is like a random texture. If I click here to select, of course, this is not a height map, but you can see that we do have a very random looking terrain using the displacement of the brown mud. Okay, good. We can even walk. You can see that there is an artifact. This is due to the displacement map. So what I recommend you doing, and let's do this right now, is to select the terrain material, which is this dirt 2. I'll duplicate this and I'll call this terrain map. And then I will select my terrain back, and here in the material, I will select the terrain material. And now with the terrain mat selection selected, I will go to UV scale and I will increase this maybe for 80. You can see that I'm putting a very large number until like it looks good nearby here. Yeah, it is still not so good. So let's put 100. 120. Here we go. So it looks better. You can see that the UV map is sometimes weird. It's because of the displacement map. It's work in progress in Cave. So I'll go ahead and remove the displacement map for the terrain material and also remove the displacement texture. So now we can see that we do have our terrain ready. And again, I just selected a random texture here, displacement texture, that has nothing to do with the terrain. But this is just an example. If you have a height map, it will have the correct perspective and all that. I think I like this actually. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Huh. Anyways, but let me play the game. I'll press F5 to play, and you can already see that the terrain ideally would work, but it's not working. 1 second. Oh, of course, it not gonna work. We are ignoring all the warnings, so you can see here that it does have the warning. And if I click here and expand, you can see there's two warnings. One of them is the resolution mismatch, because the engine expects the height map resolution to be the same as the resolution that it is displayed here. If it is not, it will lose resolution and all that. And the other thing is that your height map needs to be in linear space, and this texture, since it's a random texture, it's not a height map, it is in gamma space, and this is leading to incorrect physics, because the rendering is in one way and the physics is in other way. Actually, as a proof of concept, if I add, for example, a mesh, it's a good thing that this happened here, so I can show you and explain the difference. You can see, if I press play to start a game, it is colliding with the terrain, but the terrain is above. This is exactly why we are seeing this behavior here. So how to fix this? Well, very easily. You can edit the height map and go ahead and change this to linear. By the way, we're not going to be using this texture at all. I'm just showing this because this is a good opportunity to show you a fix for this problem. And you can also see here that the terrain is much higher right now because it is correct. So I can move it down. We do have the terrain, and if I play the game, well, now the physics are working just fine and just as we expect. And we do have the great terrain. Great. Awesome. So if you're working with a height map, you already know how to use it. And if you want to edit this height map, all you have to do is click Make Local, and you'll be able to edit this. So I'll go ahead and undo the linear to gamma space change we did, and I'll also click here to remove this height map because I don't want this. Instead, I'll click here to create a new height map from scratch. It will use Perling noise to create a noise terrain for us. If you want a flat terrain, you can enable flat terrain, of course. So click here to make a height map. And you can see, let me reset the scale with Alt W, the position actually, that it is, well, very boring. And I just said that it creates Perling noise. The reason why it's very boring is because the maximum height of the mountains here is 42 meters. And this is a huge terrain, so the Perling noise is all over the place. But if I increase this, for example, to 300 meters, you can see that the terrain is already starting to take place. Very good. And of course, I can play the game. And I can walk around in this gigantic terrain. Great. Now let's go ahead and sculpt this terrain, which is like the best part. So I will select the terrain. There's two ways to do this. One of them is selecting the terrain, going here in the manipulation tool and changing to the terrain tool. There's actually three ways, because you can alternatively click here to advanced viewport settings and change the manipulation to the terrain tool here, or also you can find in the terrain component an edit terrain button that if you click, it will do the exact same thing. So it will change this to the terrain tool. And this is also a good time to showcase you that we do have all the terrain tool options right here in the properties tab. And if somehow you selected another asset and you lose these properties, all you have to do is to click here this gear icon and they will be executed back. And of course, I've selected another entity. I need to select the terrain for this to work so it will appear correctly. Anyways, with this manipulation tool, I do need to have the debug drawing enabled to see. You can see here that I do have a brush, and I can zoom in and out. I can scale in and out using the mouse wheel, and it will act according to the mode I have here. For example, the sculpt mode, if I click, it will raise the terrain. If I hold Ctrl, it will lower the terrain. I can adjust here the brush fall off to make it a bit more smooth. And also, if this is too much of a strength to me, I can decrease the strength and work a little bit more calmly. So this way we can create some interesting sculpts. Let me actually increase the fall off a little bit to shape the terrain the way we want. So now, of course, I'm not creating any piece of art here, but nothing prevents you from creating something cool. I'm just showcasing for you the tools. You can see that it does have some rough edges due to how the terrain works at the moment in cave, but you can very easily go to smooth here. I will increase the strength of this smooth, and we can fix these edges here very easily. And if I pass this smooth brush here, it will probably completely destroy all the work that we've done. So let me decrease the brush. Let me decrease the strength a little bit, and I'll try to smooth things up a little bit here. Perfect. This terrain is looking like a moon or something like that. It's really funny. But this is only one tool. We have many other. For example, the erase tool resets the scale to 50% of the total height of the terrain, which is this. You can see here. This is like 50%. If you want to see how much is 0%, let's decrease the brush fall off, and I'll click here to set height. And here I have a set height parameter. I'll put into 0%. It will destroy the terrain. Just be aware of this. So we are creating a giant hole in the terrain. Yay. So this is 0% of the total height of our terrain. And of course I can put 100%. Oh my God. And this is 100%. So this is basically the range that we can reach in the terrain at the moment. And how to, maybe you want a taller range, like so this is 0 to 100%. How to go beyond that. Oh, and also now I need to adjust the shadows because the shadow area is not big enough. This is actually easy to fix. Let's go ahead and click edit the scene settings. Oh, it's actually in the global settings here. So if I go to rendering, shadow maps, I have the cascade scales here. Let's go ahead and change this to like 5, and then 20, then 80. Here we go. So I've increased the cascades, and now we have shadows. It's fixed. Okay. Let's go back to the terrain properties. So if you want to change this, what you can do is select the terrain mesh, the terrain component, and here in the height, I can adjust the height. And now it's clear, it's better for you to see what is the height actually, because it's the minimum to maximum range that you have in the terrain. So let's try to undo this. I'll click here to erase this giant mistake we did. Let's go ahead and erase this out to 1.0. Here we go. And I'm doing this like very calmly because it's satisfying. I don't know why, but it is very satisfying to see terrain gets deformed. I don't know. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you find this satisfying or not. So we know most of them. We have the noise terrain that we will apply random noise texture to the terrain. Again, it is a bit aliased at the moment, but I'm working to fix this, and you can always smooth the terrain afterwards, which is very good. Let's do some random mountains here. You can see that, well, as the name suggests, we have random noise being applied to the terrain. And before I smooth things out, let me actually apply some erosion here. The erosion is a work in progress brush that will try to simulate erosion from like rain and stuff like that. So you can see that it is creating an interesting curved pattern here. If I increase the intensity, it will go a bit faster. It's kind of satisfying to look at as well. You can see the entire terrain morphing into a decent shape. Look at that. I think erosion is like better than just applying smooth because it you give probably a more realistic result. As you can see, it's very nice. Yeah, I like this. It looks like sand. It looks like I'm in the desert. Very nice. I think I like this. I will actually go ahead and try to apply some random noise here in this area. And then I will erode this part too. Nice. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the flatten. So I have here this character. I can press F5 to play at any time, and you see that everything will be working. We do have this rock, this cliff face, which is like a mega scan that we imported in the last video. But of course here in the back, well, it's not good. So ideally you want to make the terrain here touch the cliff, right? So it doesn't show that back face. How can we do this? Let me go back to manipulation tool. I will actually select both clips here. Oh, I do have 3, okay. Let's increase the scaling a little bit of them. There's one that's be much larger. Maybe I'll even play with the position here a little bit. So let's create another copy of this cliff. It won't hurt, right? Something that I noticed, I'm not a professional level designer, I'm an engine programmer, but when I do level design, I start very detailed, and then I start losing patience and scaling everything up. So it's kind of funny. You can see the difference of the size of this rock to the other one that I started already. Anyways, so we have this cliff face. I'll select the terrain and I'll go back to the editor, the terrain editor. And then we have 2 approaches to do this. One of them is to select the sculpt mode, try to reduce the brush size, and I'll try to sculpt, but you can see it's very annoying to do. We're gonna have to be smoothing things up a lot, and also the brush strength being this high is not very good. But another option that you can have is to go to flatten the terrain, and then to flatten the terrain to the position that the mouse is. And of course, if I place the mouse here on top of this part of this cliff, maybe if I increase the size a little bit, it will flatten the terrain to this height, which is very helpful. So you can see that I'm already making the terrain connect with the back side of my cliff. And in front it's kind of good, it's okay. But in the back, it is how we expect it to be. Good, now all I have to do is to finish flattening this, because of course now we have a bad cliff here. So let's actually increase the brush size a little bit. And I'll try to flatten this a little bit more, so it's more concise with the rest of the terrain. Now if I want, I can even apply some erosion here. I like this tool, man, it's so good. Oh, I think I need to increase this a little bit up, so let me flatten this. Nice. This part as well. Here you go. So in this side we do have a good cliff face. Let me select the player here, and I'll move this up with G, so we are on top of the cliff. Also, something I like to do is to organize this, so create a new folder here. I'll call this cliff, and I will select all the cliffs here and I'll drag and drop it to the cliff folder so it's more organized. So if I play the game, you can see it's a bit rough. I still need to improve, but you can already see what I mean, that we have like a flat terrain top, and of course here we have the cliffs. So this is how you can combine like mega scans and other techniques to create a very realistic or custom shape for your game. And this is a very simple use case. Of course, you'll be spending a lot of time fine-tuning this and making sure that everything looks as good as it possibly can. But look at this, we already have a 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers terrain. I can walk and keep walking forever in this terrain, and it will be there, right, with physics and all that. By the way, a good tip for you that are watching this tutorial, you can see that the feet of the character, it doesn't connect with the terrain. Check the project demo, the Cave Engine project demo. We do have two scenes over there. We do have the inverse kinematic scenes, and we also have the third person controller scene, and they both have inverse kinematics to make the feet of the character align to the ground, so this will be very helpful for you. Man, look at that, I can walk forever in this game. We just make next Hideo Kojima game. This is like a walking simulator. Good. And we even have like the exoskeleton in the legs. I'm just realizing that. Look at this. Yeah. This gives me like Battlefield 3 vibes for some reason. Let me know in the comments which game do you think this looks like. So of course we have an empty game at the moment, but we can always keep developing this, keep creating the cliff faces and all that to make this looks good. And also like the terrain. Oh, look at this, man. This mountains, this already looks good. Let's try to do one in the distance here. Let me edit the terrain. I'm probably gonna have to scale it up a lot, like this. And I'll actually apply noise here, because I'm not very interested in... Oh, but you can have adjust the noise scale here to create more noisy stuff. So now I'm having noisy formations here everywhere. Oh, but you can see the clip end of the camera is not even rendering everything. Let me actually go ahead here in the scene settings, in the camera, view, clip end is 1 kilometer. I'll put 2 kilometers and it will be good enough. Let's continue adding noise. Lots of noise. But you can hold Control to subtract the noise, by the way, if you want. Yeah, this is a very dramatic terrain. But again, then we'll go ahead and create the erosion and it will look very good. So let's go to the erosion. I'll increase the brush strength a little bit. And let's erode this bad boy. Look at this. Look at the terrain gaining form, man. Wow. This looks so good. I'm impressed already. Look at this. All right, so I've sculpted the entire terrain. It took me some time, and I've paused the video a little bit to be able to do this. But I think we did a decent job. Of course, I've never explored any of this terrain. I just sculpted for the video very quickly. So there's a lot of things that we can improve. For example, I don't really like the erosion artifacts here, so we can maybe smooth this out, for example. To improve this, maybe we need to sculpt a little bit, just to give this move brush a little bit of material to work with, like that. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you can adjust, but I think that you get the idea on how to create terrain using Cave. All I did here is using different noise scales and then different erosion scales, and then in the end we have this, and we still have the terrain that we had before. Remember, this is a 2 by 2 kilometer long terrain, so there's a lot of things going on here. Let me go back to the manipulation tool. Let me play the game very quickly. And you can see that I can, oh, this is the scene between that plane that we had. Actually, I think we can delete the plane actually. 1 second, there is a plane here. No, this is the terrain, this is the plane. And there's an ugly scene between the plane and the terrain, so now there's no longer the scene, and you only have the terrain. So again, 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, it's a very large terrain, and you can see that we can explore every single corner of it, which is very nice. Very nice. Now imagine this with the inverse kinematics for the feet of this character to always align with the terrain. It will be so much cooler. Something that I'm thinking here live. Let's see how this would look like if we actually select the background. I'll click here, and then in the mist, I'll click use mist. Oh my god. Not looking good, because of course the start and the distance is not good enough. Again, this is literally 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. Let's make 1000, which is 1 kilometer. We can play around with the fall off, and of course we can maybe even use this as the color, or we can make a very bright color, a vibrant one. Something that I'm missing here now that Cave do have all these advanced features is a way to set the brightness to the mist. It will be good. Let me know in the comments if you think this will be interesting, because, well, maybe I can implement this in a future release of Cave. Yeah, a little bit of mist in the background is good. I think I like this. Yeah. Maybe a dark one. Not good. I like this one. Here we go. But anyways, we have the terrain, and it is here and working, as you can see. In the next video, what I'm thinking about doing is to create a new material for this terrain, because there's one thing that we haven't explored, which is the texture paint, and it is a bit specific, so there's a lot of things you need to understand for you to in order to get used to it and use it in the best way possible. But still, we already have something cool to look at, to walk around. Man, imagine you creating a game like 2 by 2 kilometers. This is crazy. And I know like other games have a larger terrain, but as an indie developer, as like if you're working on a game alone or with a small team, this will already be very huge for you to feel. Like imagine creating an RPG game in a terrain like that. Man, this looks good. And it's funny because I'm walking at regular walk speed, and it takes a while to walk. You can see I'm not even halfway through the place, and I was in the center of the terrain. Yeah, very nice. Anyways, folks, so this is the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or comment about it. In the next video, we will try to hopefully add more details to this terrain using a custom shader. So this will be very interesting. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye.